Hey, how's it going? I did this project called Heartbeat Here Now that I want to, I created this kind of particle effect for it is kind of the title screen, and I wanted to show you how to make it in TouchDesigner. So that's why I'm making this video. It's going to be probably an intermediate video, so I'd recommend that you at least know the basics of TouchDesigner before watching this full thing. If you are brand new, there's plenty of good tutorials out there. Um, so I'll link some good ones in the description or something. Um, so yeah. Anyways, I'm just gonna delete this network and we'll get started. Um, okay. So first, we want some text to work with. So let's add a text SOP, meaning text in 3D space, and going to put whatever uh, uh, text I want in there. All right, maybe center align it there. And what we're gonna do is extrude. We're going to extrude it a little bit so that it gives our letter a little bit of depth. We're going to go to the values, change the depth scale to 0.16. There we go. For now. And then going to do a sprinkle sop. If I look at the wireframe here, um, these are the points, but what we want to do is have points randomly. And the default for sprinkle sop is surface. What we want to do is change that to volume so that the points actually appear within the volume of the forms of the shape rather than on the surface of it. I think for this effect, rather, it just gives a little bit of a better result. Um, okay, so let's attach that to a null. And then change that sop to a chop with a sop to chop. Um, put a null after the sop to chop. This is going to be our instancing network. Each of these points is going to become our little particles. So we'll say null instancing. Bring that a little bit further out here. We know we're going to be messing with this a little bit. So um, let's create our render network. Our render network is going to have a sphere SOP in there. Put it into a transform to change the size of it, and then put it into a geo. Once it's in a geocomp, what I can do is go to the third page, turn instancing on, null instancing as the default instance OP, and then active translate X, TX, translate Y, TY, translate Z, TZ. You see that's a little bit much. So what we're gonna do is go back to that transform that we made. Maybe 0.1, maybe actually 0.02 for now. So we can kind of see we're starting to see our particles. Now let's finish up this render. Camera. Oh my god. We're gonna go to our camera and then light, and then we'll do a render top. Plug that render into a null. We'll call that null BG, and then we'll tick this flag so that we can see what we're doing in the background. All right, so that's something. It's not exactly what we're looking for, but it is something. So let's start to add to this to get it closer to what we saw earlier. So what we're going to need is we're going to need a way for these particles to basically scatter and converge. So what we're going to do is start off with an LFO. Change that LFO to a square wave. So it's going front to back like that. And then let's change the frequency to like 0.1 for now. Plug that LFO into a math to change it from 0 to 1 to -1 to 1, so that it converts to 0 to 1 on the output. And then we're going to plug that into a trigger. On the trigger, we're going to make the sustain level 1. We're going to put the release level to, let's say, 3 seconds, and then the attack level to 3 seconds. Excuse me. Now what we're gonna do is add this into a null, and then that'll end up being called null. Let's call it null pulse. We need a constant chop. And let's actually make 2 constant chops. There'll be one that'll be up here. Let's call this constant vars. I usually like to have a little chop that I have all my user set variables here. Let's name the channel N. Let's make it 2000 for now. And then in the sprinkle sop, we'll say the number of points. We'll bring that, we'll connect that to that to fill out our particles a little bit. Okay, so now this constant is going to, let's make a constant and also a noise chop. The constant chop, you're going to go to the single sample, turn that off, change this little drop down to samples instead of seconds, and then you're going to drag that constant, that variable that you just made for the number of particles, drag that into here, chop reference, and then you're going to go into it -1 because it's a 0-based index here. So 0 to 199, 0 to the 1 less than the variable. You're going to go over to the noise, and on the channel, you're going to do the same exact thing. Go to samples, drag the your variable in there, -1. Then on this then we're gonna put these into a math. This constant and this noise. Put this into a math. Combine chops, multiply. Oh, and then constant here. In the constant that we made, we're going to attach that pulse channel to that, so that you see your constant is going up. And the reason we need to do this is because it needs to be these 2000 channels next to the pulse there, next to the single channel that's going up. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to, and on this noise as well, I kind of forgot this, X, Y, and Z instead of just channel 1. So now it should be have 3 separate channels, which will be our location for X, Y, and Z. Then last thing we're going to do is we are going to transform the noise apps time seconds actually let's do a text dot frame times 0.1. Okay. Once that is attached here, we're going to make a math in our original chop network up here, and we're going to attach that to that, and bind chops, add. Now we see our effect is starting to come together. But there's a couple of more things that we are going to be doing. One of which is going to create another we are going to create another constant here. Well, actually, let's create another noise. What we want is, you see how these particles are coming to a complete stop? We want to do instead is give it a little bit of motion, even when it's not exploded. Let's come back together. We want it to look a little bit organic. So what we're going to do is we're going to add another noise chop. Actually, we can just copy and paste the one that we had before. And then add a math before we put the rest of the chop channels in. Attach that, and then combine channels, add. We see that's all over the place, so what we're going to do is go to the and say point 0.03. So now, when the points come back together, they're going to have a little bit of motion still. Now, we're going to do one more thing here. We're going to add another trigger onto this trigger. We're going to make the trigger threshold be 0.85. We're going to attack length to 3. Release length to 3. Don't want any sustain. We don't want any decay. We do want some peak. Put the peak length to 1, let's say. So now we'll see that this channel is, let's actually change that attack back down to 1. Now, what this will do is decay should be 1 instead of release. So what we can do is we're going to add a math next to this constant here that's exploding it. We'll add a math here just to kind of reverse that a little bit. Go to range, instead of 2, 0 to 1, we'll change that to range from 1 to 0. So that we'll put this into a merge. That. And let's actually rename this as well. Rename, let's say this is size. And then let's add a math between from 0 to 1. Let's call it from 0.5 to 1.5. Okay, so now we should be good to create another constant chop. Attach its value to size instead of that last one. And then we're going to do is we're going to merge this with our original channel, our original SOP2. And then we'll call this size. So now that size is also getting modulated by the noises that we added. Go down here, scale X, scale Y, and scale Z will all set to size. So now you'll see when it comes together, the particles will pulse. They'll get bigger to kind of emphasize that moment when they come together. Looks a little bit more natural. So yeah, so we're actually getting close to being done here. There's a lot of other things that you can do to make this a little bit more finished. What you can do is you can grab this color lover pickers uh, component here. I really like this one. It's available for free. I'll include the link to that somewhere as well. Um, put the lookup there in afterwards. Attach the color lovers, and I like this Claire de Lune preset there. Plug that into the second input. Um, can add a material. Let's add a thong to a null. Let's attach that null to the geo. And maybe up the diffuse a little bit to get us back to relatively where we were. Now, so yeah, you can do a lot of things with this type of network. I've shown you the basic technique, but feel free to uh, experiment and play around as much as you want.